Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for August 8th through 12th, 2022. Wow, what a powerful time we're living in. Are you feeling it? We are coming up on the Aquarius full moon happening this week, Thursday. And the full moon energy always brings a culmination type feeling. And in this case, a very powerful energy because we have had Uranus and the North Node together for the last few weeks. And over this last week, Mars crossing over and activating this brand new timeline energy. Uranus, higher frequency vibration, the North Node. Where are we going? How are we going to get there? And Mars, the warrior, coming in and activating this new timeline. Uranus can bring transits can bring unexpected changes. And what's happening for supernova souls is it seems like this feeling of waking up to a life that's not really yours. We're coming into who we really are, which means we're not who we thought we were. And so you can't have radical, it's important to remember, the message is coming through. You can't have radical upgrades in timeline, vibration, frequency without some changes in your life. I mean, this is the whole astrology of the last decade or so of when are we going to see the physical changes in our world that represent the electromagnetic changes that have already happened. So what's happening for supernova souls, since we are here to lead the way, it's this waking up to realizing that you're not who you thought you were. And perhaps, like most supernova souls, feeling that you've been living other people's agendas and lives and ideas about what is right or good for you for so long, for lifetimes. And so we have to understand that we may be being asked to make changes in the structures of our lives right now, because with those activating energies and new possibility coming in, that means a disruptive energy. Now, we also need to keep in mind that when we're going through rapid changes, and we're making big changes, trying to find the bravery and the strength. If you think through your life of when you have had periods of time where you made big changes, there's always a necessary uncomfortability just before those big changes. Otherwise, you'd never make them. It's that feeling of like your skin, your reality, your definition, your identity of who the role you've been playing and who you thought you were and who you've been playing for everyone else isn't who you are. And that's going to require some changes in your life. So that's just kind of what's going on. And that's a huge energy of this timeline alignment. Now, this full moon is really activating all this, and that's what's bringing that culmination type energy. So you could get some clarity or understanding about what's been going on for the last 2 weeks since that Leo new moon, and that's when this whole timeline adjustment activation started. So that full moon happens Thursday evening in Mountain Time. The activation is going to be in the morning, though, at 11 a.m. on the 11th in Mountain Time. So I hope you'll consider joining this activation. This full moon in Aquarius happens at 19 degrees Aquarius, 21 minutes. And this is very powerful because we've got the moon there in Aquarius, a full moon opposite the sun in Leo, and not too far, less than 2 degrees away from Saturn. Saturn in Aquarius is retrograde now and at 22 degrees. Now, 22 degrees is 22, the number 22, has an energy of the master builder race. There's this and that really fits the energy of Aquarius as well. So all of this astrology is about how are we going to build this new world? How are we going to co-create this new reality? So those changes that we were talking about, the ego death, the breakthrough, the breakdown, that's all part of this experience, and especially you being here to lead the way. And as you go through these big changes, you're going to get more and more comfortable in the higher frequency vibrations. And then for the people around you, you're going to be a beautiful example of what's possible. It's so incredibly powerful. And it's really important to understand that you've been fully prepared for this role. Even though you don't, the more you don't know what's going on or what you're doing, your next move, the more you're doing it right now, because we're being asked to get out of that knowing and being in the unknown so that we can move with the energies of the universe, so we can let life support us and move us and let life live life by getting out of the way. And yet at the same time, getting vibrationally in alignment with the highest ideal, the highest, most high energy, our most optimal timeline. A big part of the whole shift into the Aquarian age is going from outside agendas of manipulative forces that have been working through our own psyche and structures of our world that have been holding evolution back, where we've had outside loyalties to and contractual arrangements where we have agreed again and again to capitulate our power and play small. So it's about us having the bravery to step into this new energy. And it feels really scary and it's really unknown. And it's also really intense for supernova souls because often as you're going through this process, nobody around you is. All supernova souls are. Trust me. We're all going through it, but we typically don't have a lot of supernova souls around us for various reasons we've talked about. We're blocked in feeling worthy and safe with our soul group. We wouldn't want to, if we were a target, we don't want to target our whole group. And we've made contracts and agreements to stay separate. But know that we are all going through this. And it feels like, what in the heck is this for? What are we doing? And I want to just show you the power of embodying these frequencies and saying yes into this transition, into this ascension. Because as you walk in the world in that energy, you are a massive defrag threat to the whole program, because it's like, wait, one doesn't fit the other. And as long as one doesn't fit the other, then that reality can't hold. And that's why it's been so hard and you've gone up against everything. But you have to understand that's because you are perfectly poised. So what you're doing right now to just get through and figure out how to exist in this reality is the most powerful gift you can give to humanity too. Is say yes to this transition and begin to fearlessly embody and represent and be that living, breathing example of a new and better world. So the way that the forces throughout time have held back this evolution have to do with stagnant energies and loops, programs, right? We know this. It's like that. I can't believe I'm running this program again. I thought I was over this, right? And that's happening because we'll talk about it. There's a lot of just karmic shit going on in the astrology. But the flow of life, the healing, the life living life, the supportive frequencies coming in, they are buoyant and supportive on a whole different level. And so it gets easier and more comfortable as we get through these threshold moments of saying yes and moving in this experience. But this opportunity to embody and to be present, just don't take it lightly. It's not that it can, of course, you're so close. You've done so much work, and I know it feels like you're not getting anywhere, but you are so close, closer than you've ever been and closer than you can imagine. And once you step over this threshold, it gets easier and easier to maintain and hold these frequencies. Those frequencies, this energetic vibration, is that crack in the code. And it's interesting because throughout time, we talked about how do we break the program? How do we get out of the lower matrix? All this. And we've gotten the message that love breaks the algorithm. And that's definitely what we're doing here. There's a picture of a stairway to heaven descending. And when we're ready, almost it's like it's there and it's always been there in our DNA, a pattern, an activation of the spiritual human. And so when it's almost like that mountain behind the mist, and nobody even knows it's there until it's revealed to you. And that's what's happening with this picture of this stairway that's made of pearlescent, beautiful, sparkling crystals. And it's being lowered down like on the stage, and there's mist around and it's hidden. But the more you can be present and know and live this dream within you, this truth of how you've made it through so much, because you haven't even gotten started with what you're really here to do, and it's going to be beautiful and amazing. But this landing of this opportunity, it can be helpful to really see this as this staircase, and it's a shifting vibrational staircase, and it's the picture is like a spiral, a stairway to heaven, and all you need to do is take that first step. And it might be that you just stay there for a while. But what if we do have these codes, these Gaia codes, this beautiful potential for spiritual evolution on a cellular level? But we know that we're in a free will universe, and it's very important for spiritual ascension that we each individually have an opportunity to decide and say yes. And of course, we know supernova souls often also, you already said yes, right? Because that's just who you are, and it's why you even are here. But as we allow and break down and move through these loops and patterns and karmic loyalties and all of that, you'll begin to see this revealed to you in your own way. And once you're on that staircase, you can just take it step by step, but you're on your way. You've said yes, you're beginning to vibrate at this activated DNA potential, the human spiritual potential. This is what supernova souls are here to demonstrate. And it's exactly the same energy of you breaking through all that's held you back for so long. It's win-win. But the helpful thing about it's there as a potential, and it will reveal itself to you, I guess, as we're confused about how to move forward and where we're going. If we understand we're on this spiral staircase, and we're going to be revisiting, and we're going around, but we're also going up. And every step takes us closer to this vibrational upgrade and leading the way for humanity in this stairway to heaven experience. So look out for clues of this. And it's a very individual experience. So what does it mean to you? And what does it feel like? What does it look like to hold the vibrational truth that there's so much more to humanity? And supernova souls and you have gone through so much, and life has been such a bitch because you are here to lead the way, and you've done it perfectly. So the energy around this is, let's go back to the Saturn at 22 degrees and talking about the master builder, because Saturn is the structures of time and reality and just the structures of our world. And Aquarius is talking about how to move into the new age, how to build new structures, how to build that new world, and what's in the way of building that new world. And that's everything the stars are telling us right now. Because this full moon is so close to Saturn, it's not that far from the nodes of the moon. The nodes of the moon are at 17 degrees, and Uranus is at 18 degrees of Taurus, and the north node at 17 degrees Taurus. So we've got this full moon and Saturn in square to the nodes of the moon and Uranus, and not too far out from Saturn's. From square with Mars. So our personal planets continue, our masculine and feminine personal planets, Venus and Mars, continue to be so throttled and activated right now. It's just like everything on the table is this healing and balance and union of the divine masculine and feminine within us, coming back to the garden, because that's where we can build this new world. And that's everything that this 22 number is talking about. 22 is 2 11s, and 11 is 2 walls, a portal, a gateway to something new, also facing off with what has been in the way. 22 is overcoming all that through by stepping through to a whole new reality. Now, with 22 representing this master builder race, now these are the energies, the ancient giant beings, us, who created the pyramids and all of this higher technology, building and megaliths and all these sacred sites hidden under the ground in the mountains all over the world. You know, we think about the pyramids in Giza, but they're all over, some hidden and some that you can find. These pyramids were used as energy devices, power plants, and for things we can't begin to understand. But this is exactly where we're at. The disclosure of the potential of humanity. And you, supernova soul, have already experienced this potential in your energetic field in previous incarnations. In previous parts of this evolution on Earth, you've already been in these higher frequency vibrations. You've experienced ascension on some level, spiritual ascension, and light body. So we're not learning how to do this, we're remembering. And that's really important too. And maybe that's that staircase. Like, the staircase is already there. It does feel like we're fumbling around in a totally lost and confused state with constant distractions from what really matters. Everything is trying to keep our attention from this process and this amazingly magical time we're in. And this astrology is all speaking to this. So we've got like all these questions about how to build this new world and what's in the way. Now, when we're looking at Saturn and Aquarius, it speaks to a past Aquarian age, which was Atlantean time, definitely connected with the ancient technology that is evidence on our Earth that is not in our history books. And the energy of Atlantis was all about the fall of Atlantis and the misuse of power. And we've got to get this all sorted out in order to come back into this technology. We think, oh yeah, come on, give us our technology. And because we know that there's so many suppressed like technologies and patents and things that can solve all of our problems on the Earth, but then they've been suppressed and withheld. And the universe is saying, show me your technology, show me your technology, and then none of that shit can hide anymore. Now that's the energy of the South Node. There's treasures to be found once we feel worthy to do and brave to do the excavation to find them. Because if we have experienced light body, spiritual ascension, higher frequency vibrations, kundalini energy, whatever you want to call it, then we're comfortable. We know our body. We might not remember right away, but some part of us does know. But we've been programmed with fear around these energies. And so subconsciously, in an instant, as you approach this, beginning as you get more and more comfortable with this process, what happens at the beginning seems to be like you get knocked right back down because of this fear programming. And it's kind of like, you can't handle that. Don't go anywhere near that. You're going to go crazy. You're going to blow something up. You're going to hurt other people. Get away from that power, right? And we're being like, oh, the only way they could trick us into thinking that we misused our power was to take our power and misuse it. And then we're begging for it back, trying to prove that we're not going to misuse it. And that's not how it happened. The misuse of power was actually an actual weapon, like a directed energy weapon that was created by this technology. And so supernova souls, as pure spirits and souls coming to work with this technology, you took the blame for these catastrophes. We all did. And we agreed to stay far, far away from our power and potential. And now we're realizing, oh, this is the only reason we're here. This is what's keeping us trapped. This is what's making our life hell. And when you do start to move into this energy, it's really fun and a whole different way of moving in the world. You know, we're looking at a completely different relationship to physical form, a completely different relationship to time and reality. And that is all written in this astrological configuration, with Saturn in square to Uranus in the North Node and Mars, and opposite the sun. So the sun is going to come into an opposition with Saturn after this full moon. And so it's super activated because that happens on Sunday. So the full moon's Thursday. So just a few days after. Now that's going to make the full moon energy really expand and last a long time. So just know that those 3 days, from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, through the weekend, next weekend, it's like we're in this round place of that full moon, of suspended in time before it shifts in another direction. And those times are uncomfortable. And this is the whole metaphor for where we're at right now. It's uncomfortable, but there's magic there. When you can be in that 0 point, when you can be there and let go of what your little mind and ego thinks is the best thing, and fighting against 3D reality, and getting in alignment with what your higher self, your highest self and higher truth, what that's asking for. And we're at the point in this vortex into this shift that there's no turning back. And everything that's happening right now is about this. And I know it's hard because you're walking around with the zombies and they're like, like not even their body, much yet less paying attention to what in the heck is happening here. And because they're not being affected yet, because you're first, because you can handle it. You're a powerful soul to be advanced and to have incarnated here in this body and go through this change. We are changing. So the interesting thing about this is that we've got, as advanced souls, supernova souls, we've gone through spiritual ascension before, but in those paradigms, it was like it was a more unconscious, and you kind of lose a body and get another body and get another situation. And in this case, we're taking our body, our physical 3D body, and transforming it into light, as well as our earth. That's what's happening with the earth. And so that's exactly what's happening with this DNA activation. This incredible light that's coming in with the sun in Leo. And now in Aquarius full moon next to Saturn, in square to Uranus and Mars and the nodes. It's a lot going on, but it's a fixed cross, okay? So these are all in fixed signs and in square to each other. So the fixed energy is about establishing. And so on one hand, we're like, how do we build, right? How do we anchor in and start to create structures? It's like we've been going through so much of the dismantling. When do we get to build the new? And that's what this is all about. But the fixed energy is also, it's stable, it's leadership, it's structure in being able to put those four walls and build something. But on the other hand, the fixed energy can be very stuck. So all of the astrology is about, where are we staying stuck in the old patterns, and where are we willing to move with these energies? But there's a really powerful message, because it feels like if you've been in resistance, if you know you've been in resistance, or you have a sense that you've been like in that place of going back and forth between moving into the new, but then triggering fear programming and distraction and all that. The message is that, like, it feels like there's this feeling of being pulled through a portal, and then there's no turning back. And you'll just be sucked into another dimension. It's like a very scary letting go feeling. And maybe that's why this picture of the staircase, this beautiful crystalline, opalescent, sparkling staircase representing the DNA activation, is that picture is so helpful, because it's like, just take this step. And then there's another step, and you might need to be there for a minute, but it's okay, because it's all laid out for you. You don't have to figure this out. And that's so much like, if we could just stop trying to figure it out, supernova souls. And so much is about this, because Well, we're feeling some vulnerabilities because we've got Venus coming to the end degrees of Cancer. That puts Venus in direct opposition with Pluto, and that's exact tomorrow. This is a difficult transit. It's like, oh, the end degrees of Cancer is so vulnerable. So just your insecurities and that unknown feeling and not feeling safe. And then this opposition with Pluto, the structures of power that have been the false power structures that have been keeping us from claiming our own power. Now, so Venus is then going to move over into Leo, and that's going to be quite a shift into this empowerment, So go ahead and be with these feelings and this experience, this vulnerability, this feeling like you were left all alone here, to go up against this monster, evil forces that have advanced technology and time travel, and we're just stuck in our little 3D box. Not for long. So, but that's this feeling of like, oh, all of this I've done, and I've been facing my fears, and I've been facing my insecurities. I've been growing and healing, and just a feeling of exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, overwhelm. Now, it's important, though, to keep in mind that that doesn't happen until you actually do have space to feel, So the fact that we're feeling so much means we're actually at a place where we have space for that in our lives. Because when we're like busy and distracted and all this drama's going on, we just get through, right? You just get through the next thing. But those unresolved emotions and grief, it's like that's coming up right now. And the fact that you are feeling it it's actually a really good thing, because it means things are getting better, and there's room in your life to rest a little bit, even though on some level, it feels way more hectic. Supernova souls are doing pretty good at allowing this shift in time. Now, one of the most important things that happens, which is probably coming up with all this too, and we're talking about the old stock patterns, but the most important thing that in the stage of this transition, one of the important phase that people get stuck at, one of the steps of the ladder, has to do with giving yourself permission to do less and have time to be. And then when we do that, we're like, who am I? What am I even doing? And it's hard to be with yourself in that emptiness, that feeling of like giving and giving and doing this and doing that and doing this for this people and living this life and playing your role in society. And then you're just exhausted. You haven't gotten anywhere. You're not in alignment with your truth. You're living everybody else's bullshit lie. And it's just exhausting and overwhelming. Now, but that is just kind of part of, and if you can keep in mind that, the fact that you are present with these emotions means that you've done a shit ton of healing and you're doing really well. And now, as Venus comes out of this opposition with Pluto and that disempowered state, she's moving into the sign of Leo this weekend. And so that's going to bring an empowerment energy. So this full moon could bring some clarity, some empowerment, some feeling like, hey, I can figure out my next step now. I got reoriented, right? And maybe that's it too, because if you're on a spiral staircase and you're going one step at a time, it's very disorienting because you can't tell where you were and where you're going. So give yourself time to be. Now, this is a huge issue, deep, mysterious energy coming forward around this with supernova souls. Goes along with the whole trap of being trapped in the old patterns and trapped in time. But there's an energy of learning how to move in these energies and understanding that, okay, so there's a long-term agenda to keep supernova souls and the whole planet, really, right? There's a whole collective energy in this paradigm program to keep us in trauma and drama and fear and anxiety, right? In the root chakra, never feeling safe enough to pursue our spiritual interests, right? To further ourselves and our evolution. And So there, if you think about it, the things you've had to deal with in your life, how much of it has to do with ancestral contracts that have been very nefarious, not being able to feel safe and at home and maintain a home, and be comfortable, feeling like you're dealing with narcissistic energies, constantly challenging your reality. But this root chakra thing is so important, because supernova souls, one of the things we don't realize is how this amazing talents and skills we have on the astral plane. This is a lot of the reason why we've been exhausted, because we're doing this work on other levels that we don't realize. Supernova souls have an ability to exist and work in multiple frequencies and dimensions and timelines. And yet we're like totally stuck here in this crazy unknown, So, but how can you travel and do like work on other levels? You can't if you don't know where you're at, right? And so that staircase, that pattern, that stairway to heaven, the spiral staircase, and your knowledge and wisdom that you have within you, you're remembering, can guide you. All you need to do is stay oriented in the present and where you are at now. They don't want us to know where we're at, and it keeps us be grounded and be able to orient. And that keeps us from being able to work in other realms. This working in other realms that we don't realize we know how to do, this is how we co-create our new earth and our new reality. So it's very, very important. And so maybe that spiral staircase be like, yeah, I don't know, because I took some steps. I thought it was a good thing, and now I have no idea where I am, and those people are weird, because you found yourself above on a different level. And now maybe they're projecting their fear and negativity on you because they don't understand. Once you get established in this frequency, it's way easier to hold it and hold your space. And this is what the intuitive training is about, right? Being able to really be present and do the chakra work, the levels of consciousness, clearing, healing, activation, to be able to navigate and own your space and anchor into this reality and know where you're at, so that then you can begin to do the work you came here to do. And maybe that's what we're doing too. We got to know where we're at in the new paradigm, in the new earth, and new energies. And it's very, very different. So just know that, like, you take a few steps and then it's totally freaky, but you got to just hang out and orient to where you are before you can get to the next step. And maybe you have to go back down one step. But if you can see that picture, that you have to constantly reorient in this new paradigm. And that's exactly it. We've been dealing with time as a linear thing. It's not. It's circular and spiral and, all happening all at once. So we took this whole spiral of activity and then we stretched it out into a line, into a ruler, and cut it up. And so we have to go back to the spiral, and maybe that's really helpful, because it's like, okay, I took some steps. It's cool. It's not an orientation with anybody's plan, anybody else's process or timeline, and you just keep moving. And when you need to rest, you rest. And when you need to move, you move. And if you're feeling whacked out and scared, that's because you're not oriented in your new location yet. Because it's a picture of the spiral staircase. It's like one step changes your angle, your level, and your direction. And I don't know, that seems like it might be really helpful to kind of calm down and find that center and peace, and just knowing oh, I feel this way because I'm reorienting to a new vibrational frequency. You did it. You took that step. Yeah. So really powerful. And this fixed square is just trying to turn the wheel of time, trying to move us into the Aquarian age. And so these transits that are happening along with this are really important. With the North Node in Taurus, it's about our self-worth and value for our gifts and our treasures, our wealth, our worth for our wealth. For supernova souls, your wealth is invisible. It's not what you learned in school this time. It's not all those certificates up on the wall. Your wealth is what you've brought with you through all of your soul experiences. You're a badass, samurai warrior. So we've got to open up to this remembering process, and maybe that's part of our reorienting on our new level as we make this, and it's okay to take it in steps and pieces, and then the south node is so activated right now because the south node is in this T square and opposite of Uranus and not too far from Mars now still. And the south node is a Scorpio being brave enough to face the darkness, to face what's been suppressed, to face the grief, to move the energies and be free. So it's all about our worth and wealth and clearing up our shadow in order to have that more authentic life and claim this autonomy so that we can vibrate at that reality that can, as we move, as we establish these higher frequency vibrations, then we become a co-creator. And that's the important thing we were talking about, the shift to the Aquarian age. It's going from being a victim and an ego trying to navigate 3D into being a co-creator, vibrationally in alignment, right? So being a co-creator isn't like, I want to go change the weather or whatever, the situation. It's about being present with what is and holding the highest ideal of what's possible. Wouldn't it be nice? Oh, I could see this. This is everything they haven't wanted us to do. Because back in Atlantean time, when all that whole story started, there was a very deliberate agenda through mechanisms to disconnect our ability to think with our right brain and our left brain. That was really the beginning of cutting the feminine out of spirituality and putting her in to hell. And nature is not spiritual, nature is bad, and that separation of science and nature and the earth and all that. There was power in the connection of the cultures, the pagan cultures, to the earth, and the powers of the church and control didn't want people to have that, So much has gone into keeping us from this. When I talk about the human potential, it's this. Our right and left brain working together in this creative thinking, activation of our pineal gland. And we have we're all going to have, apparently we make this shift. Whoever's going on this shift we're going to have telepathy. We're going to understand that we've worked with these higher technologies and remember how to work with these technologies and levitation, things like that, So it's very exciting. And of course, we'll have to have a full disclosure of all the technologies that have been suppressed. And wow. Whew, no wonder we're overwhelmed because we are leading the way in this huge thing. And it feels like trying to pull a wagon up the hill, And maybe that's part of this energy of this Venus opposite Pluto. It's like, stop pulling that wagon. They don't want to go. Let them off. And just make your way up there step by step. Every step reaffirming that ladder of opalescent crystalline beauty and potential and possibility is real. It's only real when we can hold it. Now, this is a huge thing. You can see in the news and the patterns, it's like all about the next trauma and drama and seeding our consciousness. And it's so obvious now. It's been happening for this whole century, but it's like seeding our consciousness through media and ideas. And so we create that and say, oh, that's the way it is. They told us they call it a program. It's a TV program. And this is every moment of every day. And we have to be like, no, not my reality. Why can't it be like this? Dare to dream. Now, that's the power of this alchemy of all of these transits, because we've got in the backdrop Pluto and Capricorn in a sextile with Neptune, and they came into sextile earlier in the year, and it's about new structures. It's like a spiritual rebirth and new structures that can be built and aligned with that. So it's like this dream is alive. Now, that is through the next few days, we've been having this over the weekend and the next few days. We'll be feeling that. So notice this, because the more you come into your power, the more you're going to have people around you that negate as you go through this change, right? It's like they're going to negate, they're going to argue with your worldview. And so it's like the power of our consciousness to be able to hold. It's like, well, wait, you're telling me that's the reality, and you're the news and you're the facts or whatever. But I think I'm going to question that. And that's a huge energy for us right now, is like, we've got to question reality and get out of this box. And so it's like a vigilance and a power in, but really supported by this sextile, to be like, yeah, no, because the minute you pull into that narrative and the, and it's not that you don't care. Supernova souls care so much. You're so compassionate, right? But this is a really great concept that came through Eastern teachings. It's like, not that you don't care, but that you don't mind, right? Because if you care in a way that you feel it's up to you to change it, that's our ego. And that's where we get in this trap. And that's where we get stuck. So I guess maybe that's a lot of what's going on with this whole energy, because when we can say, oh, I'm not going to concede that. I don't know about that. This, though, over here, this butterfly, this bird, this experience of presence right here in Mother Nature and connection, everything is possible from that place of still point and openness and love and positivity. And it sucks because this guilt comes in, because you're such a caring person, right? And so you should, how can you not care? Why don't you care about this? This going on. It's just like, this is the energy. We're in a vibrational reality, so we've got to be vigilant and the warrior in claiming that. So, Mars is come a few degrees now, and so not still close to Uranus and the North Node, but now in this square with Saturn, and Saturn with the full moon and opposite the sun after. So it's like bam, bam, bam. And it feels like ratcheting up. We have all of these planets like Pluto and Capricorn, Saturn and Aquarius, Neptune and Pisces, very close, between 24 and 26 degrees, 22, 26 degrees. And also Venus is at those degrees, Mars is at those degrees. And so this is that star pattern in the sky where everything's lining up. And so it's like we've had this again and again, but all hands on deck. And that's the biggest message too. It's just like, you guys, don't miss this. Just be present, right? Whatever's going on. Be easy on yourself about, there's a lot of this Venus-Pluto transit brings up this feeling like you're not doing enough, you got to work harder, you're not good enough, you don't deserve it. And we're all flailing on many levels because we did say yes and we are taking the steps. So go easy on yourself right now. Self-compassion is so huge, and that radical self-care, because we are getting massively activated. You can't go through huge energetic upgrades and not expect a structural breakdown, and that's metaphorically. So it's happening in our physical body. So take very good care of your physical body right now, but it's also happening in our world. That whole thing of like, whoa, what am I doing? Is this my life? Like, where am I in this? Because now I'm coming into who I really am, and I don't want to live these lies. So that energetic upgrade is going to require changes in the structures of our lives. And it's scary, but every step you take, there's more of that buoyancy and love of the mother, and stepping into this new reality where we're loved and held and cared for. And the earth comes up to meet us as an energetic field, the mother, the goddess, and we walk with her in that beautiful garden in abundance. And we just proclaim that world every moment of every day and be like, that, you know. And a good thing around that is like, does this warrant everything's going to come at you? And just knowing that projections and energy, the lighter you get, the more shit's thrown at you at that certain stage. And you just got to be like, and put your attention back on this beautiful, glorious truth of what it is we're doing here, and bask in the glory of what you have accomplished already. You're just going to be blown away with who you are and what you've gone through to be here right now. And you didn't go through all of this just to kind of give up and leave. We came here to transform and transcend and create the world we know is possible, and have a really great time doing it together. So you are, just remember that all supernova souls are going through this together, even though a lot of us feel really alone in this process. It's a spiral staircase, one step at a time, and every step is going to need reorientation. And the power in choosing very deliberately your moment to moment vibration, So as we had that early next week, or actually this weekend, on Friday, Venus moves over to Leo. So the day after that full moon, and that'll be kind of starting the other chapter. But the sun opposite Saturn happens on Sunday, and that we'll be feeling that through the middle of next week. And so huge challenges between our supposed reality, our real reality, who we are, who we thought we were, and the structures of our life. And a lot, with the sun, it's always about our identity and who we think we are. And Saturn's like, Saturn's always been about standing in the way, and that opposing force. Now, Saturn, as we overcome that vibration in our life, Saturn has a whole different meaning. And that's where Saturn is now about establishing the laws and rules of this new reality, but also what's in the way, what's keeping us stuck in the old. And so here we go. And with all of this fixed energy in the full moon, again, it's going to feel kind of like suspended in time, and just be there. We're still in this Lionsgate portal. The energy of that's going to go through the next few days, through this week, really. And so just be in that energy. Enjoy Venus moving over into Leo, this permission for our feminine to rise and shine and show herself, come out from under those shadows and be the badass goddess that she is, to lead the way back to the garden. So hang in there, supernova souls. I hope you can come to consider joining me for the full moon activation. It's so powerful to come together. Every time supernova souls come together, it just amplifies our energy, our experience. We realize that we aren't the only ones going through this, and we grow a field. No matter who comes and how many people, every time the field gets stronger. And that's solutions and opportunities and support on an energetic level for supernova souls as we all navigate this crazy time and experience we signed up for. So very powerful. And that is going to be at 11 a.m. on Thursday, the 11th, 11 a.m. Mountain Time in the U.S. So I hope you can consider joining that. It's $10. If you can't make the live, no problem. The replay is available immediately after at the very same link. So it's super easy. And we were working outside of time. So even if you can't make the live and you're on the replay, you're with us. You can get that energy, get that validation, get those messages, upgrades, healing, clearing. Clarity is trying to come in right now with this full moon. It's almost like we made it to a certain step, and at this step you pause and you reorient, and it feels like you're just suspended in time, but that's right where the magic is. And wow, crazy that is just as Venus is coming out of that end degrees of Leo and end degrees of Cancer and into Leo. So new birth for the shining of the light of the feminine. And that's exactly these secret, mysterious technologies that we've already experienced, but they're forbidden. And we have to be like, take it back. It's ours. So, so much love to you, Supernova Souls. Thank you for being with me, and thank you for going through all you've gone through to be here together with us right now. It's a very, very powerful time. So just don't miss it. Stop by stop, reorient, and keep yourself in this knowing right where you are, at least in the present time. So thanks so much for being with me. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.